I now give the floor to the distinguished representative of the Russian Federation to introduce draft resolution A/75/L87/revision 1.
Thank you, Mr. President. Russia submitted a draft resolution L87. It's called Countering the Use of Information and Communications Technologies for Criminal Purposes. This draft is the outcome of an agreement reached during the just concluded organizational meeting of the ad hoc committee. The draft was drafted by a committee selected by the chair and based on documents submitted by Russia and the United States. These delegations worked not only in their national capacity but represented groups of countries. As a result, by the end of the ad hoc committee, a resolution was presented which met with the support of the overwhelming majority of resolutions. And it's precisely the text of that resolution that you're seeing now as draft resolution L87. There were many months of work in Vienna that preceded the drafting of the resolution, where all the items on the agenda of the ad hoc committee were discussed in detail and various proposals were tabled. And so the resolution that we're introducing is nothing but is the outcome of the work of the ad hoc committee. It is a very balanced and subtle compromise text, and in that connection we hope that the United States, which took an active part in trying to find the right balance, strike the right balance, as well as members of the EU, will support this compromise resolution. The draft envisions the ad hoc committee holding meetings both in Vienna and New York. Most of the meetings will be held in Vienna. The closing session will take place in New York. At that session, it is proposed that the text of the convention will be adopted. The resolution also envisions the need to finance the participation of delegations that are not represented in Vienna in the work of the ad hoc committee, as well as delegations from developing countries. The draft also enshrines the need to strive for consensus. This is particularly important in developing a legally binding convention. At the same time, the resolution stresses that the work of the ad hoc committee will be governed by the rules and procedures of the General Assembly. That means that no single delegation or a small group of delegations will not be able to block the process. In the development of a universal and truly necessary convention that is much needed by the international community, that process will be democratic and inclusive. The resolution contains a provision on the participation of observers based on the established procedure within the General Assembly. After the conclusion of the ad hoc committee meeting, its chair conducted additional bilateral consultations, and she came to the conclusion that the draft submitted during the session based on the agreement between the U.S. and Russia was the best possible compromise. And the letter dated from the 24th of May on this subject was circulated to delegations. We call on everyone to support this resolution and thus to ensure the launch as soon as possible of work of the ad hoc committee in countering the very serious threat, the use of information and communication technologies for criminal purposes. This way we will confirm the unity of the international community in working to develop an effective instrument for this purpose. I want to once again stress that Russia did not submit the text that was its initial proposal. We made serious changes in our position precisely in order to ensure the broadest possible support in the work of the ad hoc committee, so that the drafting of the convention wouldn't start with a feeling of some delegations having won and others having lost. Our draft, this draft, is in fact ensuring a constructive launch in the work of the ad hoc committee. As the months of discussions in Vienna and New York have demonstrated, the future work on the text, if we continue to working on this kind of resolution, it won't bring us any closer to compromise, to a consensus, but rather will take us further and further away from being able to reach a compromise. A number of delegations introduced amendments to this draft. We call on these delegations to withdraw their amendments and to accept this document by consensus, so that we can start the substantive work on the text of the convention. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
I thank the distinguished representative of the Russian Federation